beautiful beings. Welcome to another timeless tarot reading. I'm going to start by clearing the energy with my bell. I call upon my guides, my angels, my ancestors, and galactic family of the highest love and light to channel through me the messages that this collective will need to hear at the time that it reaches them. I thank you, I thank you, I thank you. I love you, I love you, I love you. Let's see what's in store today. In general, I'm doing this right after a new moon, so there could be some new beginning energy, but I've been feeling a lot of recalibration type of energy, realigning and readjusting potentially. So let's see. Ooh, so we're starting off with the Queen of Cups. This has Angel Aura Quartz. So if you feel called to work with it, you can meditate and call in that quartz. If you don't have it, I trust my knowing and I follow my heart. I'm immediately pulled to this infinity sign that's above her cup. To me, it's coming through as this infinite abundance, or you being tapped into the infinite source. So it's like you're able to fill up your own cup, like your spiritual cup, potentially by tapping into the other side through meditation or connection with your guides, because everyone feels connection to the divine in their own ways. Some people it's with mantras, and other people with yoga, and some with meditation or just walking in nature or just channeling, automatic writing or language. But there's this ability to tap into infinite source to fill up your cup. And if you're somebody who feels potentially tired all the time and you don't know why, even when you're sleeping and not overexerting yourself, there could be a lack of energy from connecting with your higher self or just the higher dimensional frequencies that come through. If you don't have some sort of health condition, that is, or you can't find one yet, you might need to be connecting with spirit, and they can fill up your cup. And sometimes it comes through as energy, sometimes it can come through as very peaceful feeling or comfort almost. But I've always found it really energizing after I take time to meditate and connect. And there's this queen energy, this royalty, and this connection between this crown and this third eye, because the queen needs to have her third eye open to see things and maybe a unique perspective, or from a higher perspective where you can zoom out instead of zooming in and look at a larger picture, but can also be aligned with spiritual gifts you have, whether you see things or hear things or feel things to the other side. And there is this blossoming energy. There's buds that are growing. There's something that's opening up. But to me, it's like not every petal is fully unfurled yet, right? So it's like the beginning of a bloom, and there's just different stages of growth you might be at on a personal level, or different stages of development for a passion project or a manifestation of some sort. But we're really close to the finishing or the unfurling of the blossom that is you, or what you've been putting your energy to. There's a lot of water energy, a lot of flow coming in as well with this fish swimming around. There could be some divine assistance. You could be having some guides guiding you on some sort of creative path, or just guiding you in your daily life and kind of just like nudging you and encouraging you. And you know, we all have support from the other side, and sometimes we don't feel it, but it's always good to remind it that they're there for us. There's this sensitivity that's coming through because there's a lot of emotions and such stored with water, and you could be a highly sensitive empath. I'm also feeling like a lot of imagination and intuition and love and creativity. It's like this mix of almost like divine feminine energy coming through. We all carry divine masculine and divine feminine within us, and this is kind of like pointing to this part of that. And there could be a loving partner or friend that this is also representing, if you don't feel like the very sensitive or creative one. Or you could have someone in your life who's like that, who's supporting you and is kind of balancing out. There's yin yang energy coming through. But overall, there's just this caring presence of someone with this high emotional intelligence. It's where it's like supporting others may come really naturally to you, and supporting yourself might be a little bit harder. But it's something that Spirit really wants you to focus on, because unless we can tap into this source and fill up our cup in the ways that make us feel fulfilled and whole and peaceful and happy and rejuvenated, we won't be able to serve others as much as we would like, or in doing so we might be draining ourselves. But if there's a situation arising, if this is a situational thing for you, it's like you're being led by your heart more than your head, especially with the I trust my knowing and follow my heart. So there could be a very logical path around a situation you're in, but you're kind of just following your heart, or being encouraged to follow your heart and to act with compassion. There's this showing of empathy, this connection with others. It's like you might have the ability to subtly and intuitively read other people's energy, or feel it, or pick up on it. And, it's like empathy. Empathy is such a powerful gift, but I know it can feel like a curse sometimes if you don't know how to shield and refill up your cup properly. I encourage you to work on crystals and different type of protection, type of meditations. I have one on my channel of like a daily protection and kind of like just a daily protection and rejuvenation clearing ritual that can really help, that I've found being an empath as well. I'm working with carrying different crystals and stuff as well. But it really can be a blessing in some ways when you can feel those people don't have the best intentions or the best energy. Not that we all have beautiful energy all the time, but you probably can pick up if someone has ulterior motives or intentions, or what they're saying is not what they're meaning. And there's this overall energy of making sure you set boundaries, making sure you don't give and access. because we have a tendency to do that. Make sure that you're focusing on you first, but there's just this beautiful, soft, loving, caring energy coming forward that you carry, or potentially someone in your circle is carrying. It's okay to protect yourself and set boundaries and say no. I know sometimes that it's hard to learn how, but give yourself as much love and grace and support that you tend to give others. Ooh, see, we got the Nine of Swords energy coming forward, which is going really hand in hand with this Queen of Cups, right? I love the way this card is represented because she's laying on this basically like a bed of pillows. And it's cozy, it's comforting, it's relaxing. There's like feathers in the air, there's like this wind, there's this starriness in her dress. You know, you might be from the stars, might have a galactic connection, and you might need to recharge differently than other people. And that's totally okay. You know, like how we all individually recharge looks different. Like some people like to go on walks, and some people just want to lay down and read a book or watch a movie and cuddle up. So this can be an accumulation of anxiety or worry or doubt. And sometimes it can signify like this accumulation of those things. Seeds of doubt and things of that nature kind of weighing you down. And there's this reminder that they're saying that when you're feeling those things, it's okay to give it away. To ask your spirit team to carry the worry for you, or the doubt, or the intensity, or to release it into the ground for transmutation with Mother Gaia. There's so many ways you can both release and transmute that energy you might be feeling. So you could be called to do that, especially with the wind, you know. You could also work with the element of air and let it carry it away, dissolve it in the wind. There's so many ways, but there's this need to release potentially, and maybe you just need to have a good cry. Like sometimes that can help. And there could be an overthinking of a certain situation, or worrying about negative outcomes, or feeling overwhelmed about the future. You know, that's all normal human emotions, and anxiety sucks, but they're just trying to remind you that when you're feeling those ways, it's important to tap in with yourself and rest and realign yourself. Maybe get out of your head, however that looks to you. Maybe it's music or writing, or I love writing down worries is a great way, so you can capture them on paper and try not to physically carry them in your mind. You can say mantras about it as you're writing and ask that they stay on the page. You could do spell work. However you really need to release and let go, and put more of your faith and trust into your spirit team. Because we always have this tendency to go for the worst come of like, what if this bad thing happens? But it's also good to force yourself to do the opposite and be like, what if this amazing thing happens? You know, what if everything is awesome and light and airy? And, you know, if your default is playing devil's advocate, where you're thinking of worst case scenarios, play the other side to try and combat that a little bit. And there could be an awakening of something painful that needs to be processed for some of you, that you could be feeling, maybe you're remembering or realizing another thing that needs to be processed, released, or healed. Sometimes a lot of wounds that we obtain over a lifetime get kind of like pushed down and almost hidden subconsciously, and then they will surface when they are ready or need to be taken care of sometimes. And there could be any disturbing of peace, right? Sometimes Nine of Swords is just like maybe you're having nightmares or insomnia, or there could be something just, disrupting your flow of peace and disrupting her rest. So try to eliminate that if you can, or find ways to get back to a state of calm and relaxation and release and heal, and try to be present as much as possible. Sometimes that can help when we're worrying about future outcomes and that sort of thing. We need to focus on the here and the now and grounding ourselves in that in a very physical way. And these two things tend to go together, right? When you're a highly intuitive empath, you have two sides of the same coin, where you can feel the great joys and happiness, but you can also feel the lowest of the lows and really sometimes take on energy that might not even be yours. Like maybe you're absorbing anxious energy from media and that needs to be turned off. But there's a lot of ways that you need to return to center and connect with source and find ways to release and ground and reconnect with yourself. Sometimes we just need to turn our head and look at things from a different angle or perspective, which can be easier said than done, but there are a lot of resources online that can really help with that. Ooh, so we have the raven. I love ravens. I live in an area where there's a lot of huge ravens around. And it says, own your power. Magic. So you also could be very witchy, embracing that spell work and rituals and things like that. And you could do anti-anxiety spells and all kinds of different rituals to help with that. And that might make you feel like you're in more control and to reclaim some of your power. Because if our power is being drained by anxiety or doubt or those things, there are a lot of things we can do magically. You could do rituals, you could do spell work, you could do jars, you could meditate, you can journal, you can do something very tactile to be more present. But it's also not just about your maybe magical power or even your spiritual power, your spiritual gift powers. It can also just be about you feeling powerful as who you are. It could be feminine power, it could be masculine power, it could just be you feeling empowered in general and taking your power back from people, places, situations. You might do a reclaiming power ritual where you call all your power back, or do a meditation like that. But it keeps coming back to this empath of your empathy can be a part of your power and magic if you know how to wield it right? Shielding when you need to, and letting your empathy and kindness guide you when it's applicable as well. And really wielding it as a power instead of letting it be completely uncontrollable. Maybe you're fine-tuning how you use this gift and that power. Could be doing Reiki to learn how to channel and move energy and discard of energies that aren't yours as well. And you could be way more powerful than you even realize. And you might be coming into your power, coming into your control and realization of so much more you're capable of creating artistically or doing spiritually or giftedly. You know, even the power to start controlling our emotions a little bit better. It's not like we ever have complete control, but you might be able to guide yourself back into being the present, guide yourself back to the light when you fall into darkness, and have certain rituals and practices that allow lower vibrational energies to not consume you, because you have the power to get rid of it and to ask for assistance if you need assistance in removing certain energies and releasing. Ooh, this is so amazing. I love what's coming through today. So this is the first time I've gotten this horse card, being in the year of the horse, and I love horse energy and unicorn, and I just love horse energy. So it says, the king, I will help you spread peace and unity throughout the world. Wow. I love his regency, his regality, right? It's coming with the crown. And you might have like a nice mix of divine masculine and feminine within, where you know when to charge forward in certain aspects and know when to sit and heal and recharge, and this balance of your energy. And I'm drawn to the lion too. It's like this very powerful roar. It's like tapping back into that lioness or lion within, and you know, knowing that your voice has power, that your presence has power, and you're most likely a light worker. That's a lot of what these cards are pointing to, and I think a majority of my collective are light workers when I read them. But you know, you could be here to be anchoring love and light and peace, and sometimes doing that, you can do it through maybe social media or your art or your music or your writing or your business or your, you know, new ways of engineering or nonprofits, whatever it is. But sometimes the best way that you can raise the vibration of the world and spread this peace and unity and love is by you just anchoring in that frequency in your daily life. You know, maybe if you're just a stay-at-home wife or mom or something like that, and just anchoring in that joy and that love in your day-to-day life, and loving yourself and loving nature and loving, you know, all that you've been gifted with physically and spiritually so far, when so much of the world is seated in this fear and anxiety and doubt, which sometimes we take on, but I feel like you're here to help clear and heal that. And when you clear and heal that within yourself, you're raising the frequency of the world and the vibration all around you. And it will like have this cascading effect as we push Earth towards this 5D future. And, you know, there's this armor. I'm drawn to the armor, this beautiful golden silver etched armor. And to me, it's like knowing when to wear armor. Like sometimes as an empath, you need to wear armor, spiritual armor, talismans, crystals. Like it's okay to wear armor to shield yourself from some of these frequencies in the world that exist and that you might face. And this shielding with light, or however you want to do that personally, can help you to not absorb as much and to be able to keep maintaining your light by maintaining this shield, this love, this light shield, so you don't take it on, so you can be this beacon of light. It's kind of like, the visual I'm getting is like when you're in a cave and there's like no light, and you light one match, like a tiny little match, you know, it can light up like 50 feet or something. It's crazy because when there's no light, the tiniest light can light a huge area. So if your light goes away, then this whole radius starts to fall into darkness. And, we don't have to be a perfect light. We're not going to be on 100% all the time, but constantly tending your fire, tending your light, tending your rest, your rejuvenation, and your protection and your boundaries to be able to tend your sacred fire, tend your sacred light, so you can just shine this light with your frequency. And then when other people see your light or feel your light, and they could be far away even, you never know. Like the butterfly effect is really real. And they might be inspired to reflect their own light, right? And you could be here seeding light in areas of the world that really need it. That doesn't mean you're necessarily in a super busy area. You could be in the middle of a city. You could be, rural. There's all these different areas of the world that need light. All of them need light, but being these light anchors, these empathic light beings is, never easy, but much needed. And I feel like you know what you're doing. You're owning your power, or tapping into your power, your roar, your control, your abilities. You're here to play a really big role, even if it doesn't feel like it. Your energy signature feels like you're playing this huge role in raising the frequencies on Earth and steering us towards a more unity, solar punk future just by existing. Whoa, a lot came out. Okay, let's do that one. This is crazy. This is the card that came out. Oh, I love how spirit comes through these cards, right? So we have Venonat. Love Venonat. And at the bottom it says, lives in the shadows of tall trees where it eats insects. It's attracted by the light at night. So this thing is basically like a moth without the wings yet. And I think it evolves potentially to get wings, but it's basically this moth energy, which is exactly what I was saying beforehand of your light being very attractive and things being attracted to the light. That's how this is coming through. And you may have lived in shadow. You may have lived in darkness and shadow for a lot of your life and been through a lot of things before you were able to reclaim your power and your light and your magic and your sovereignty. And now that you're able to exude this light, things will be attracted to it. Some negative, some positive, and that's why we need to have boundaries and shielding. Because you never know what you might attract, Sometimes it's leeches. But also sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just beautiful other energies of, could be fae, could be dragon, could be galactic, who just want to see your light shine, who are attracted to it and inspire others to start creating their own light. And I love that it's like eating insects, right? There's something about potentially using things as fuel, turning old pains into power, transmuting, alchemizing different things into energy, when before it might have been inconceivable to do that. But you have the magic, you have the power to alchemize and transmute, really change things. And you also just might get your energy from different sources, Some people are very extroverted and they get their energy by hanging out with others and being in a crowd. And Other people are more introverted and get their energy at home and alone, and some people it's a mix. So could also be talking about different ways you get energy besides like physical nutrients. And ooh, this is such a cool card. So this is like my Fae deck by Brian Froud, who made the what's the word? The Dark Crystal, if you guys know what that is. It's an old movie. It's puppeteering. It's very magical, very labyrinth-esque. I'm so drawn to this like light that she's shining, this queen, but I'm also drawn to this mask and this shadow. So it's like maybe you have worn a mask in the past, or sometimes you wear a mask and you're hiding in the shadows, and maybe sometimes in your inner spirit though is this light, this shining frequency. I'm gonna see what the book has in store for this one, because it's a really big, very thorough, thoughtful book. And I'm not necessarily an expert on the Fae kind. I have a connection with them, but you know, they can be very hard to interpret. So I just want to see what this has in store, because there could be something for you in these words and in this deeper message. So this is Sylvanus. This is clarity and cutting through deception and truth. So Brian called this painting the mask of truth, the true dreaming. Sylvanus holds the mask of truth and is lord of the woodlands, his crown of antler branches signifying his authority. He presents a mask to us supported by the fairy of aspiration, as she welcomes us to our own potential. We wear the mask to look inward, seeing our true selves, not our false and fearful selves, but the beings of light that we truly are and what we have the potential to be. It becomes very difficult for us to make excuses and blame others for our failures and fears once we have seen what we could be if we were willing. What, in fact, we already are, but are not quite living up to just yet. I thought it was very odd there's a mask of truth. It seemed to me that we use masks to hide the truth rather than reveal it. But oh no, Sylvanus assured me, first you put the mask on and hide, and then you take it off to reveal the truth. Very fairy. I see, I said, not certain I did, but not sure I wanted to either. Besides, Sylvanus continued, your face is not your truth. Sometimes faces need to be hidden so truth can be seen. Or sometimes you need to make a crack in the consciousness, an aha moment, in order to see a truth you have been blind to. So I'm going to pause for a second before I keep continuing this amazing reading. I love this book because it's not just like, oh, this is what the cards means. There's a story with a lot of these, and this conversation that's happening between the Fae that's represented in this card. So this guy holding the mask, he is the king of the woodlands. And he is the one who is this Sylvanus, who is talking about putting on the mask and hiding and seeing who you truly are, and then taking it off and then revealing your light, your power, your potential. And that really makes sense with this reading thus far about the light, spreading peace, trusting your heart, knowing you're magical, tapping into your power. And it is talking about fears and doubts, which is this Nine of Swords energy that we all carry, but also the collective is carrying. And us finding our way back to our light and really stepping into our power of who we are and shining that. So, from before the time we were born, people have been projecting their ideas, hopes, fears, and confusions on us. As we grow up, we accept many of these untrue projections as our reality, our partially false, partially true pictures of ourselves. Brian, the artist, wrote, "The fairy Kundrun holds one of the many sacred swords of fairyland." So this person right here holding the sword. "This one, forged long ago by mysterious dwarfs, is laid across the cliff of the other world as a bridge to fairyland. The two-edged sword symbolizes the union of the human world with the world of fairy, as well as the union of the outer world nature and the inner world of our psyche or spirit. It is the sword of clear-cut understanding and sharp perception. But once we cross into the fairy, it becomes the sword of courage and noble service. You could be discovering new truths about yourself. They are essential for you to know in order to create relationships based on mutual respect, affection, and trust. These things can only work if we see ourselves and others as we truly are. Currently, both fairy and the world are functioning as a giant mirror in which we see ourselves in many surprising ways. People tend to dread this because we assume that we are the worser than we think we are, but that's not necessarily true. Finding out the false and misleading beliefs you have accepted and discovering you are a better person than you ever thought, and you have the potential to accomplish more than you ever believed you could. If someone says you are better or simply different than you think you are, don't automatically reject this. Think over it carefully. You have more to give and more to enjoy than you have been giving yourself credit for. I hope you guys found some beautiful meaning in this passage that I read, because I certainly see how it connects to this reading and our larger world. It's when we grow up, we're told all sorts of things. Maybe you're too quiet, you're too loud, you're too much, you're this, you're that. And we're, as a kid, just absorbing all those projections onto us of what others want us to be or think we are, or that are putting us down to make themselves feel better about who they are. And once we're an adult, we have to go through this process of untangling, like, is this true or is this false? Is this a projection? Is this something I absorbed? Is this actually my core? And this is talking about you potentially going through that process or finishing that process to be at this point where you are now in this owning your power, your magic, your raven, your Queen of Cups, your King energy, to spread the peace, the love, and the light, to really spread the peace and the love and the light. We need to tap into that. We are love and light, and we have this, infinite potential, like the infinity sign on her cup over there. It's our truth of our spirit, and we reside in this physical body, but it can't contain like a fraction of your infinite self. We're really magical. And maybe you also have a very strong connection to the Fae spirit, the Fae realms, and you might have some past lives or lineages or friends on that side, or guardians. And I'm also drawn to this sword of like knowing the truth, cutting through the truth. The truth could be about other people, situations, but But it could also be about the truth of who you are. That's not up for other people to decide. That's up for you to discover on your own journey, however that looks for you. And then you're also holding the courage and the clarity to charge forth, knowing who you truly are, embracing who you truly are, and being able to take off the mask and shine. You know, the mask that potentially you were made to wear, or that was molded by other people's opinions and words and thoughts, is not for you to wear any longer. It's like you need to step into your light and shine, because you have this potential, this power, this magic. And this song is coming to mind. It's like this kind of indie song. I think it's just called Lion, or I Am the Lion. And I'll maybe link it below in case any of you are interested in listening. But it's all about empowerment and finding your roar and hearing your words and how powerful they are. Let's see what archangel wants to come through. I'm feeling like the angels are always here, but archangels want to get in today. Okay, what archangel wants to step forward to help this collective at this time? Okay, this is who? Ooh. Love Archangel Shamuel. Shamuel, relationship assignments. No one crosses your path by chance. Choose to see the deeper reason for the people in your life. So you might be attracting soul family by demasking and shining your light and reclaiming your power. You could have people who are about to enter your path, or who are already in your path, who are part of your soul family, who are encouraging you on this path of love, of light, of acceptance, of truth, and really embracing your power. But Shamuel also could really help with healing your heart and potentially healing old relationship wounds and heartaches and, things like that as well. If you're still in the process of healing, he can also really help with your heart. And you can just see all the beautiful light and love energy in the doves. There's a lot of peace he can bring to very challenging feelings or situations. So feel free to work with him, meditate with him, and just ask for him to come through and to feel his presence. But you could be guided on a specific path of meeting new people soon, or potentially they're already here. And there are people in your life that are here to help you and guide you to embracing. And it's like they're saying the word unveiling who you are and who you're meant to be. It's like this great unveiling is going to be happening where you stand in your light for everyone to see, and you own this power. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a combination of strength and like shielding, and also this warmth and this empathy and magic and power. It's this beautiful like mix of everything. This is so interesting. These cards are really, really freaking aligned. Thank you, Spirit. So this honestly goes along with everything else. The shapeshifter, I will get to know my true self and be comfortable with who I am. Oh my gosh. That's like this whole message, right? Of getting to know who you truly are on the inside. And feeling confident in who you are. Not just in your own skin. Like, it's beautiful to feel confident in your own skin. Right? Love who you are and love the body that you're currently in, and know that you are so much more than that physical vessel. You are deeper. Your beauty is deeper than your vessel. Your beauty is your empathy, your kindness, your courage, your power, your potential, your creativity, your intuition, your gifts. And there's this getting to know who you truly are. Like, we all, because this is a collective, you could all be in different stages of this, right? Different stages of getting to know who you are and tapping into your power, or unveiling who you are and shining your light. Like, there's so many stages you could be at, but they're all beautiful and valid. And, you know, we're going to this end goal where you're reaching this self-love and acceptance and shining who you are, loving who you are. Like, she's so confident, right? Like, she's putting on her lipstick, she's gorgeous, such a cool skin tone, amazing hair, and just, you see this reflection, right? And I don't see that as being ugly or anything like that. It's like, there's just this difference between how our inner self is and how our outer self appears. And you could be an ET incarnate, you could be a starseed. If you feel very foreign and alien on the in the inside, in your soul self originating from somewhere else, and you're in this like maybe more human looking skin, can feel very foreign. But once you figure out where you come from, maybe you come from the Fae, or maybe mermaids, or maybe it's galactics, or maybe it's just source and soul energy and angelic type of energy and frequencies. You know, there's so many different incarnations we've all had, and different ties to different places potentially, but the ultimate overall self that we all share a commonality with is this infinite potential of source, infinite love, infinite abundance, infinite creativity, infinite peace. You know, we can tap into this higher self energy. There's this just big comfortability with who you are on earth, and who you are in the spirit, and embracing it wholeheartedly. Because, you know, I embrace you however you are. And maybe even some of you feel different with gender identity, and maybe you're also trying to get comfortable in your skin by making the changes that make you feel more at home in this vessel, which are very valid and beautiful. Not an easy journey, but it's beautiful to see you become who you really feel you are in the inside. So that could be for some of you. I'm going to pull some of this Lemurian Oracle deck. It's just easier to spread these big cards, and these cards preferred anyways. See what's going to come through today. Okay. Who knows, you could have a connection to Lemuria, or be a part of a team that's bringing that Lemurian 5D energy back to Earth as we start our ascension. And just a shout out, I saw Disclosure Day that came out, and it's a beautiful, beautiful movie. Highly encourage you guys to see it. Especially if you're an empath, and there's really a shine on empathy in that movie, and the power of empathy, and also a power of looking at things analytically as well. It's like a beautiful combination of both. And also, if you feel a galactic connection, highly recommend it. It might make you feel at home. Definitely did for me. And very validating, so it's beautiful. Let's see. Ooh. Star Seer. This is very interesting because, I see this guy climbing up into the light, and she's like holding the ladder for him to crawl into the light. It's coming forward initially as this could be your higher self, your cosmic self. It's so big, it's so much light, like you could be as big as like a freaking universe in your spirit self, right? And this could be your incarnation and your higher self holding and hoisting you up and giving you a ladder to the light if you ever feel lost in this Nine of Swords type of energy. But it's like maybe you're friends with your higher self or spirit team in the higher realms, and when you need that assistance, right, it can be there to help be that bridge back to the light that you can see. And if you can't see it, it might open the doorway for you to find your way back and assist you. But you see how there's this just regalness, this giant beautifulness, of like containing galaxies and cosmos. And I'm feeling drawn to see if there's another message in this one. This is the Beyond Lemuria Oracle. Typically don't go into these decks, these books, but I'm just feeling called to today. So the top is saying, listen to your intuition, trust the holistic journey, dreams finding their way into being, the bigger picture, a more aligned outcome than expected, and finding clarity on a greater path. Have you ever headed toward a specific destination, but instead of being where you ended up, the journey was the catalyst for getting you to where you were meant to go? The journey is not necessarily going to go as planned, but the outcome may be way better than you thought possible. We all set our dreams and intentions. Internal or external shifts may need to occur before we start to see results. Outdated doors may need to close, and ideas that you're holding on to may need transformation. Life's winding roads make it seem as though you are off the path, despite how right your decisions may feel. Trust and know that your higher self may have bigger plans for you. There might be some adventures on the way. The road you take depends on how ready you are and the distance between your current life and the one you're dreaming into being. The card also depicts intuition as a goddess. She's lifting you out of the clouds of confusion and mind noise and showing you a clear way forward. She is your higher self and can see your great potential. Trust your instincts and have faith in your dream. You're already on your way there. So I was pretty similar on her lifting you out of that Nine of Swords energy of doubt and worry and confusion, and finding light and guiding you, your intuition, which usually is your higher self. The biggest part of our intuition is coming from our higher self being channeled. And maybe you feel like you are on a bit of a winding path. Some of you might not be at the destination yet, but there could be this reminder that's coming through from spirit that, we want our manifestations to be instant. We want our dreams to come true instantly, but in reality, it can take years to really pull those manifestations into being because of this earth delay. But we came here knowing that we had this delay. And the reason we have this delay is because the journey that we go on often gives us so much more growth and clarity. If you have everything instantly, it's not much learning to happen. This is earth school. So when we're learning on our way to manifestation, maybe, you're trying to make a successful business and you fail with different marketing and brands and you have to keep rebuilding, and then you learn so much by the end. When you get to that goal, you can start teaching other people from the mistakes that you made, or even on a spiritual growth journey. It's all going to be different for all of you, but this journey of where you're getting to can be as important as the destination and the growth that we gain. Ooh, we got the portal keeper. We have a cat. Cats can often see into other dimensions, and they can be described as portal keepers because they have that ability. When you see your cat staring at the wall or the air, a lot of times they could be seeing into another dimension or seeing things that are over existing in another dimension that is like kind of like coalesce over top of our reality, but we can't see it because maybe they're in dimension 5 or 6 and we're in 3, but they can see them as if they're solid. But you could be a portal keeper yourself. You probably have this ability, you have this power, this magic, this empathy, this intuition, these spiritual gifts, where you could probably travel to other dimensions or times, or astral travel, or see into other realms, or receive guidance and visuals from other realms. So you could be even more powerful than in a lot of ways, because being a portal keeper and being able to see or go between dimensions is not easy. Every time that I do that, you have to raise your frequencies to get into certain places, and they only allow certain frequencies to get in, certain people, and you could be one of those people who don't just access it, but you could be a guard without even really realizing that you are, keeping that. And you could be really receptive to unique gateways or mystical experiences. It could be raising your vibration. It could be psychic abilities. There's this expand consciousness. Maybe you could also access Akashic records or past lives, or bringing in gifts from other lives or lessons from your Akashics. There's this multidimensional awareness, right? Where where you come from, where your soul's from, you have power and magic and light and abundance and creativity, and you're here for a specific purpose, to charge forth, to spread this peace and light, to be a light for others, and to overcome this 9 of Swords worry energy, and make sure you're taking care of yourself in this vessel, because it's not easy to be a portal keeper, a star seer, an anchor of light. And there could be this unlocking of mind's potential is coming forward. You could be unlocking the potential of your mind. You could be rewiring neural pathways. And we only use a small portion of our brain capacity, right? And you could be unlocking more and more of that. When you're raising your frequency, you could be activating higher DNA. You could be, increasing certain brain activity that is, unlocking more potential of abilities that you have, spiritual and other words. And I'm just going to read a little bit from this, because, there's a lot, but the beings of Lemuria evolved with a different kind of intelligence. They were skilled at harnessing energy from the natural and abundant forces, such as crystals, the heart of the earth, the moon, and they could share complex information without words, and operated in multiple realms and could disappear at will from human perception. Technically, they're in the same location, but overlaying a reality, a parallel dimension, which could be different. That's exactly what I was saying about the cats and what they can see. And you might have this connection to Lemuria. You could have these abilities to really work with the vibration of crystals or Gaia or plant energy. And you could just be psychically advanced. You could maybe sense souls, elementals, nature, spirit guides, phase, you could have this extra perception. You could have clairsentience or audience or voyance, but this is strong psychic abilities. It's not only your intuition and guiding you on your path, but also crazy psychic abilities, quite beyond just empathy and, potential magic and creative power. It's like going beyond just like the light of your inner self. It's really developing these psychic skills and abilities that you have, and that we all have the ability to grow and practice. And, everyone thrives in different environments, and we all have different experiences, and, do what makes you feel good on your path. I can't say that this exactly is your path to do this, or that, because everyone's different. Some of you might want to be out in the public and, be in the public eye in some ways, and some of you might want to be working behind the scenes on your path. But the most important thing is making sure that you have protection and high energy, especially if you're traveling across dimensions and times. Make sure that you have a higher vibration, high pure intentions, and so nothing can steer you while you're traveling dimensionally, and nothing can attach as well. Because this is just coming back from this armor, not just from the armor of this world, but you could be needing to armor yourself when you're traveling between worlds, just to stay safe and make sure your vibration is what you're attracting. And you could just be very in tune with your multidimensionality and cultivating your ability to access your multidimensionality through, inner practices, meditations, and however you really connect. Because they're all different layers to reality, right? And we're in this one veil of reality, and that you potentially span across multiple timelines, multiple incarnations, multiple dimensions, right? And you might be able to tap into all of that. And sometimes it can be a lot, so just make sure that you're just steering the ship with love and light and protection as you're doing your journeys. But you're a powerful experiencer and journeyer, and you might have these cat-like abilities, right? Where you can go to other portals and see through other portals. And a lot of the times, sometimes that connection is just for us, like we're learning about our own gifts or past lives or versions of ourselves. And sometimes it's meant to be shared, and it's up to you to discern what's meant to be kept for you and what's meant to be shared with the world, essentially. But at the end of the day, you shining your light and your creative energy and just going on your path of love, of confidence and power and acceptance is beautiful. And that's all that's really coming through. So I just want to thank you for being here, and thank you for shining your beautiful, wonderful self.